Hi, and welcome to another Connect Insight interview. We are very excited, first of all, to welcome this new guest. And in this conversation, we're going to get to know a little bit about SAF Money. We had the chance to meet them, to interact, and also to create some interesting discussions in CrossTech Latam 2025. Very proud to present to all of you SAF Money CPO and co-founder Esteban de la Peña.
Thank you, Ana, for having us here. It is a pleasure to share with you and with all of you together.
Great. Esteban, it's from Guatemala. Very also, extremely proud, extremely happy to prepare just not this space, but also to talk a little bit about how SAF Money is really innovating, it's really creating change, not only within the Guatemalan economy, but also the region and how it is expanding to offer other different countries and regions. So first, let's talk a little bit about SAF Money and a little bit about your legacy within the company.
Yeah, so we started SAF about a year ago, and it's a concept that we've been thinking about and for a long time in my previous company. On my background, I come from actually advertising, went to fintech, and from fintech I got to learn about Bitcoin and digital assets. And there I really started to see how to create a business around digital assets in Guatemala, and had the opportunity to co-found and start what is now the largest institutional desk for Bitcoin and stablecoin in Guatemala. And seeing there the differences of the requirements of the market and then the different companies, we decided to create a product specifically for remittances and for inflows to go in and come out of Central America through digital assets. So what SAF does is let's call it a SPAY or a PIX for Central America, where you can send us digital asset and we deposit to any bank account.
Beautiful. You were also a sponsor of a very interesting discussion about APIs. We were able to see how technology really, came into a reality, making exactly what you just mentioned, right? That very specific change, that seamless money movement. So first, what are your insights in reference to that conversation?
Well, it was a super interesting panel, and thank you for putting it together because it really touched upon the challenges that we have as a region. Going as far back as the core of the local banks, not being ready for real-time payments, and how do you make them ready for real-time payments? And then effectively the challenge that banks have in our region where they don't have any APIs. So that slows down all the economy. Everybody has to have an operator of a bank account, and it's everything very manual. And we need money to flow faster and easier, compliantly, which is the challenge for our region.
Exactly.
But effectively, if you do it correct and with the right platforms, you can scale to our needs, be compliant and be fast.
And you know what, SAF Money, it's actually really learning into understanding the needs of the market. And as you mentioned, and I was also very happy to be part of that discussion. So in the panel, there were, like you said, challenges and as well opportunities. Understanding which are the tools that are available that could provide that service to clients and to make sure that we as an economy, world economy, we're ready for real-time payments. So let's tap into something that has been very well discussed throughout this second day at our conference, which is Rails, stablecoins, Bitcoins. And I have a couple of questions that I think is going to be very interesting for us to discuss and to get your point of view, understanding what is SAF Money's role, and then how we can also create some opportunities to partner with some of the community members of CrossTech. So what will be SAF Money intake in how Bitcoin-based Rails and stablecoins are reshaping the cost structure and speed of cross-border payments? And then actually understanding why both technologies, right, give remittances, which is something that we all are here to discuss, to analyze, to improve, can have a long-term competitive edge.
Yeah, so when you do cross-border money transfers, being more broader, payments, remittances, everything included into this. You're basically moving money from one database, a local database, to another local database, and you need for them to communicate. Now, the challenge of how that is being solved is that you put liquidity, meaning you put money in both ends, and then you basically balance it in your own system. The advantage of having digital assets is that you can do now the settlement in real time. So that means you receive an instruction to deposit to a local bank account, and you get the asset for the settlement at the same time. So effectively, in an operation, it means you don't need to have this huge liquidity pools in different countries. So you can work more efficiently, capital efficient, because you are receiving and settling the transaction in that moment in time. Now, for our region, it's super important to understand the different assets that we have, because different assets have different attributes and they are for different use cases. So stablecoin is used as a very general term, but there's a lot of layers to it.
Yes.
It's important to understand the blockchain of the stablecoin. It's important to understand the issuer of the stablecoin.
Yeah.
It's important also as a company to understand, if I use the stablecoin, are other people using it?
Yes.
And will it bring me more business, more flow, more volume? And the reality is they're not all the same. There's a lot of differences in those layers.
Yes.
And we have to be very prudent and careful on how we choose them, because it can tip the balance of, if we go in with an unregulated stablecoin, this is going to be bad for business, it's going to be bad for the region, for the banks, for the regulators. So you need to know that. And effectively, right now, the opportunity, I view it as like late 1800s in the US or in England, where you had a lot of rail companies, rails.
Yes.
So you had the train. And because each company was different, each rail had a different width. So what was happening is these different trains of different companies, different railways would meet in a train station, and 70% of the activity was moving goods from one train to the other. And it was super inefficient and chaos all around. And this is an actual historic thing, right? So it is not, and it highlights very well the importance of having the same and standardized rail. So basically what happened then is, when everybody got into a consensus and said, okay, we're going to do the rails this width, let's say 1.5 meters, and it's going to be, and everybody was in that 1.5 meters, then suddenly in the train stations, the activity was not moving goods from one train to the other, but actually moving people. And everything was more efficient. The economy went up within a couple of days, 20%. Back in the day, just because there was a standard on how to move the goods. So right now, we kind of have, let's say, the idea of what a standard should look like. And for Latin America and in general, let's say it's the dollar. Everybody wants to have access to the dollar. So the question is, on which rail? And now the thing is, everybody and their mother is doing a stable coin and a blockchain, and this company is doing and that company is doing. So that's where the opportunity is actually being in that as that train station, and help that exchange of goods in an efficient manner. And it really doesn't mean that we need to be the exchange partner. We see it as a phased approach. Banks I feel banks are trying to get to know it. So what we want to do is help them to get to understand it, give them the technology to, really do it in a compliant manner, and then effectively for them to do what they have always done, which is exchange of currencies. So we don't want to exchange the currency for them. We want to help them to understand how to do it, and then they themselves to do it. And that's how money is going to move faster, and we can focus on just liquidity and making sure the rails function.
Good. I think first, thank you for that illustrative answer. I think we are going to be very. I think we're going to be very good, well guide into that future. Understanding what you just mentioned, right? It's and sometimes I wouldn't want to make it like very complex, but understanding also what are the difference and, like you said, layers, and what applies to what and why that applies to that, understanding also the response of customers. And last but not least, very important, which are the compliance and regulation elements that are going to be involved. So it's very fun to see how this world it's evolving. Our remittances, cross-border payment industry, it's minute by minute evolving. There's every time a new trend. So it's important also to understand those three elements that you've mentioned. Good. So I think it's very important for us to determine. Going into the second, I think I would really like, and I when we were discussing this interview, there are a couple of ideas that I really want for you to share with the audience, and it's something that it's important, which is the action of how remitters, can future-proof their operations. And I'm gonna stay here because it's something that you mentioned it a lot, and those are the challenges within our region. But it's very important that we understand how SAF Money behaves in reference to compliance, in reference to all of the different regulating actions that need to take place. So I think that's something that I'm really interested on, and I believe our audience will be as well, in reference to SAF Money's approach into that.
Yeah, so basically we took a compliance first approach. We're taking this extremely serious. We know that is the trust layer we need to build to communicate efficiently with the traditional banking rails. And you can see it in a way where we give you a beautiful dashboard where you can have all the information of the users, the end users, all the information regarding the transaction, and keep tabs and track on that. Because the insight there is, as I mentioned before, if banks are not even ready for a real-time payment system, how are they going to connect to a blockchain to, track all the transactions and make sure that user is not receiving funds from a place that they shouldn't, and bringing it into the traditional system. And as we were mentioning before, now that there's different stablecoins on different rails, now imagine that the bank has to have all the tools to track all these different blockchains, all these different stablecoins, and that's where we come in. We give you one API, one dashboard, and you're connected. We are gonna guide you on which are the rails and which are the stablecoins that will help grow your volume and grow your business here in the region in a completely compliant and transparent manner.
Great. So more about SAF Money, you're going to see the information about the company right below in the description of this video. I think, Esteban, one important element is understanding the reality of the region, understanding also the to what extension we can go as a country, understanding that. But I believe, many of the things that SAF Money is already doing, you said a year, and how many things have changed. So I think, there's a lot to see in the future for SAF Money. We can't wait to see it. We can't wait to know more about it. So I think all of you can stay tuned into what SAF Money's new chapter would be. I'm gonna leave you with a final message to everyone that is watching, and then we come back to close our interview.
Thank you. So I think, first and foremost, I'm super excited to be here at CrossTech, because here's where the magic happens, where the decision makers are meeting. You have them all in one place. You can talk about this difficult topics, which sometimes feel like technology is taking over different companies, and companies lose their sense of purpose. But effectively, they will always be there, because users, they don't care about the technology behind the things. They don't care about the assets. They want money to move fast and quick, and they want a person to speak to. So that is not going anywhere. And that's why we're here, and we're going to keep creating value. And we wish to help you all to do that on more modern and global and lightning fast rails.
Beautiful. So stay tuned for more about SAF Money. Again, information below in our description. Stay tuned, as I said, and we're gonna be, having all of these different discussions with leaders of the industry, with those that are driving the opinions into the evolution and innovation of cross-border payments. See you in the next interview.